I felt like that was the main way people that is the main way people could like help other people nowadays because
With
like with
computers.
computers. I was a major believer in computational linguistics, so specifically large language models before they were a thing. Um and the reason why I switched was because the field of computer science I had conceptually is not the field of computer science that exists. So the field of computer science that exists is extremely, I don't want to say bureaucratic, but as it goes with basically all industries, um, it is funded by, private equity. A lot of the stuff is very profit driven. So you end up creating things that either you don't necessarily believe in or that you don't really see the person who you're benefiting. You're sat behind a computer, oftentimes making like an API for an API for an API, like helping people down the line. There's a huge like chain of things that you need to do. And that is extremely important. Without those people, like the earth would probably like entire fields wouldn't exist the way they do right now. The issue is that that's not why I came into computer science for. And that's why I switched to like entirely different field, like pre-med, like medicine. Like so yeah.
That makes sense. And yeah, I think also, I was talking to somebody who's also an undergraduate here, and who's in this like very adjacent, like I think it was computer science.
Uh-huh.
And he said, he told me like we forget a lot of the times that technology is meant to serve us. We are not meant to serve technology. And so when we have like these companies, like I'm very curious your thoughts on this.
Yeah.
With like short form content, right? We have these companies that their goal is to make us dependent on, not dependent, but that their goal is to make us on,
Yeah.
Our attention is in a way a currency.
Yeah.
And so I was curious, like, do you think that a lot of to what extent is that unethical? Like, do you think like the free market, like we should just like let what is your take on that?
That's a good question because I want a disclaimer. I believe ultimately in this current environment, it's a global environment. It's impossible to survive without a capitalist economy. Your country will just be outcompeted and squashed. You need some type of like in between capitalism and whatever else. But when it comes to the free market as it is, yes, it promotes exploitation. It rewards exploitation. And whether it's ethical or not ethical, frankly, the scary part is that that's not even a question that's being asked. That's not even a question that needs to be asked at the moment. You see a lot of Silicon Valley, a lot of people higher up, their main worries are competition with China right now. So when it comes to these ethical questions, when it comes to these ethical questions, they are so irrelevant that, even bring them up, you'll basically
get some weird looks.
You'll get some weird looks. It's like, why are you talking about this when like we're competing with like I don't know if DeepSeek's the main one right now, but like we're competing with so and so.
And paradoxically also, like, I think that what might happen is we get so reliant on technology that technology can do all the jobs for us. Do you think, I'm curious, do you think that point is coming soon? And if so, maybe that will make us have to think about, like, I have a post on my blog where I talk about how, like, philosophy, I think, will become a really useful major because of, technology automating everything. So we'll sort of turn inwards. What do you think about that? And maybe psychiatry too.
I think this depends on the next couple of years because it's very, very clear that the U.S. is heading towards the parties in the U.S. are going to head they're going to basically develop entirely different political ideologies. Right now, populism is going to be the next big thing. The only people kind of like hindering this underlying populist like festering political bubble is the people who are like very entrenched, who are like, spend their entire years in government, like legacy media, whatever you want. Like, but if you like sample like younger generations, right? You have the New York mayor, him great example, shooting of the United Healthcare guy. Like,
Yeah, everyone was like, "Yo, hell yeah!" Like,
no, yeah, it's not only everyone was like hell yeah, everyone was like hell yeah, except the people who you see on TV and the people who you see in government.
Yeah.
Like, hell no. And I
Like,
don't.
on TikTok, I remember like it was so crazy because on TikTok, like everybody was like and shorts and like whatever like reels.
Yeah.
And even like Reddit too. Like people were like there was arguments and comments, and I remember I saw somebody say like why are people so happy that the nobody should be happy over murder.
Yeah.
And then somebody replied, I'm not happy. I just have as much empathy for his death as he would have for
Exactly.
mine.
Yeah. I think that the go-to argument against all that is, like, of course, like, I don't think anyone is like maybe some people are defending like murder in general, like, oh, it's okay to murder people because that did it. But like, I think people are just expressing their frustration ultimately. But like, okay, so and that's like mainly like left-leaning stuff. I'm not gonna lie, that's mainly left-leaning stuff. And of course, like with the UHC stuff, there's a lot of like people on the right who are also like, oh, that guy deserved it.
Yeah.
But like nowadays, you see Epstein, you see the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. That thing kind of shook the fundamental basis of Trump support. I don't want to get into politics, but like the populism.
Well, I mean, we're already.
Yeah, we're already on.
Might as well.
Yeah, maybe we'll
This whole thing has been political so far.
Yeah.
We're only 6 minutes in, Michael.
Okay. But when it comes to like, or at least the current mainstream right movement, there's only one thing that was able to kind of fundamentally divide things. It wasn't Elon Musk versus Trump or whatever. It was Jeffrey Epstein, and that was people kind of you might interpret it as like, oh, this is what you do right, or this is like a morality issue. A lot of people think of it as a populism issue because the people who are protecting it are the people who are on top. And I'm not voicing my opinion. I'm voicing the opinion of people who I read about and who I see online. But it seems.
Well, what are your opinions, if not like the synthesis of the like? I think people like it's very important for us, and I guess to go to the issue of content.
Yes,
we need to like. A lot of people, the content you consume affects your opinions, no matter who you are. It will. The information you have, like if you take something like Israel-Palestine, not to go there, just as an example, nobody is going to fully understand the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It's just not possible. You only have a certain subset of the facts, and even people like you don't really know what's going on unless you're like there in government, and like you somehow have information on what each governments are doing, which they're secret about. In some cases. And so like and I guess what you're saying is like we're getting so polarized also.
Yeah.
And I think part of that has to do with the fact that there is so much information available, and depending on what subset of the information you have, you can get to completely different conclusions. And I think that's part of that is we need to be very careful about the media we consume and make sure that we're not, I guess, going for this like cheap lower quality,
like attention driven mechanisms. I think like, okay, so there is a certain, I don't have a lot of forms of social media. I have YouTube, I have Instagram. I don't really use Instagram that much. I use YouTube a decent amount. There seems to be an underlying resentment towards AI content on YouTube, like AI slop. You heard of it. Everybody's heard of it. There are people who are defending it, they'll be like, oh no, this is rise and grind, whatever, I don't know. But like, there's this famous YouTube channel. I don't know if you know about Kwebbelkop. Mm-hmm. You know about Kwebbelkop?
Of course, I used to watch him.
What a shame.
I was like,
no. I'm saying what a shame that like he fell off. I'm not gonna say he fell.
Yeah. Because his original like content that was. But I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just got older.
Yeah. No, but nowadays he or at least I don't know if he's still doing it now. But he used to be trying to perpetuate or trying to create this purely AI driven YouTube channel. So. The gameplay would be AI driven. The commentary would be AI driven. VTubers, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of having a face cam, you would have a VTuber who's AI driven. Mm-hmm. So all of it is AI automated. And he wanted to kind of like market it and like sell it. Hey, you can make your own AI channel or whatever. Bruh, nobody liked it. I doubt there are any real positive comments. Probably the positive comments are AI as well. Like,
Yeah. We're from like little kids. Like they don't know.
Yeah, but I feel like, yeah, like, so I think that at least Gen Z is fairly aware of this. You bring up little kids. I'm worried about Gen Alpha. I don't know what's going through their brains, but like, hopefully we will act as good role models.
Yeah,
you know?
I hope, because one of the, like Gen Z is very apathetic in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, we're very empathetic. In a lot of ways, we're very apathetic.
I think we're apathetic because we're empathetic. We are apathetic because we are too empathetic. We are too. There's so much, messed up things in the world right now, and we kind of understand, or we at least try to empathize or sympathize with.
But there's just so much. It's draining.
It is draining, and that's where that apathy comes from. And then again, that's why mental health huge. That's why mental health is like all the rage right now, because like people are going through like such a period of turmoil. Like, yeah,
but honestly, I think that's not new. Like, if you think of like the 1960s, right? I think it's in my opinion, it's very important that we, the unexamined life is not worth living. It's very important that we question our assumptions, and we question, are we living a good life? Because if you think of like, for example, like this packaged sort of like route for meaning, right? You go to school, you get a degree, you get a job, you get married, maybe you have some hobbies.
Sure.
That was sort of like the nuclear, and you have this nuclear family.
That was the American dream.
Yeah, that was the American dream. Yeah. But that's not for everybody. That's not for everybody. And so I'm sure a lot of people were deeply, deeply unhappy.
That is an amazing point, because I think I don't think this is covered enough. Maybe it is. Maybe I just don't look into it that much. I think one of the main reasons for anxiety in our generation, maybe for future generations, is that up until now, the American dream has been something to strive for all Americans, or at least for all Americans who could. But nowadays, effectively all, if not like a lot of Gen Z is starting to realize maybe that American dream is not attainable in our lifetime.
Yeah, and because like if you look at like the average family, like there is in the price of living, there's no guarantee necessarily that they'll have a job guaranteed for them, right? And so you think like in this sort of political climate, in this economic climate, how can one like have any hope if they're not, they're not going to be able, and part of it is there's this like disconnect with older generations, because for them, like, they say, oh, like they're wasting their money.
Yeah.
But it's in a lot of ways, like, I think part of it is that luxuries back then were cheaper, and rent was more expensive, and like rent was cheaper.
You could buy a house on a McDonald's budget.
Yeah, exactly. But now it's like TV and like, like having a phone and a computer are less expensive, but rent is more expensive.
Yeah.
And I don't think that most people are necessarily, regardless, I don't think most people I think are living paycheck to paycheck, from my understanding.
Yeah, a good portion of them at least, I think.
Yeah. And so I also think that we're sort of spiritually bankrupt. Like, have you read Bowling Alone by Robert Putnam?
I've not, no.
It basically talks about like this decline in attendance to bowling leagues, and how we used to have these social fabrics that held us together and gave us meaning, but now we don't. Bowling league with the advance of social media, bowling league attendance has declined dramatically, and people don't really have a social fabric. Gen Z is alone, and they're sad, and they're depressed, and they're anxious.
Yeah,
and I think that's, like I said before, I really think that philosophy and this like strive for meaning and determining like how we find meaning. Because I don't think there is like a clean and neat answer anymore, especially with the decrease in religion. Like,
I think philosophy, at least, I believe, I agree with you. It's incredibly important. A lot of the fun fact about Harvard students, a lot of CS majors are either CS Neuro, CS Philosophy, or CS Econ. So like CS Econ for obvious reasons, but like CS Neuro, like that's pretty interesting. CS Philosophy, even more interesting. My roommate, my best friend, CS Philosophy guy. But yeah, no, philosophy is huge.
This is the art guy?
This is not the art guy.
Oh, okay.
This is my roommate.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, philosophy is huge. The thing with philosophy though is that, and I think this is very obvious, like as of now, it's not the most marketable. And when it comes to, again, people who go to college to, I don't know, get a job or like...
nobody's talking about it.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
I think it's incredibly important because, or at least, okay,
Do you think
Getting
it'll
a-
be like profitable?
Okay, so when it comes to philosophy, there's getting a philosophy major and taking philosophy classes, right? And I think the distinction is artificial, but it's there. Like if you take like if you're basically a philosophy major but you didn't take one class, like you're still a philosophy major, right? I think the profitability of that and being a full-on philosophy major, it's definitely more profitable to have that thing on your degree because like it's in addition, like it's not gonna make it any worse. But
Just like philosophy alone?
yeah, but fun or just CS and philosophy.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Yeah, no, I mean, to your next point.
yeah. So like having CS and philosophy as a dual degree or whatever, I think that's like arguably more financially like it's just financially better than just being a pure CS person but taking a lot of philosophy classes. But I think like fundamentally, like when it comes to overall profitability, like what you will learn in those philosophy classes over time, I think that's what the financial gain you should be trying to achieve because like you're not trying to get like like a marketing job or if you're a CS person, you're probably not trying to get a marketing job. You're probably not trying to like go into academia for philosophy. So the act of having a specific thing on your certificate that says I got a philosophy degree, like is that going to be practical?
Yeah.
But taking those philosophy classes, I think that's ultimately where the practicality comes from because
like and not just for profit, but like the way I see it is pure math and philosophy on the surface don't seem very like useful, but they're it's like sort of like if you like play basketball, right? And you go to the gym, you lift weights, right? Or like you box and you lift weights, right? Obviously, you're never going to have to lift weights during a boxing match, right?
No.
But lifting weights will surely help you in the act of boxing. So it's sort of like going to the gym for your brain, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
And also among other benefits. But yeah, to your point, like you don't need the major to have that skill.
No, I think that's an incredibly good point. In fact, like math originally didn't exist. It was just natural philosophy.
Yeah, and same thing with computer science. Like computer science originally was this like useless field.
It was just math.
Yeah.
So I think that so when it comes to philosophy in particular, it functions, in my opinion, it functions a little bit more different than math. Math is good because it is the fundamental language of everything that is objective. Philosophy is important because I think it's the fundamental language behind your general actions, like stuff that you do. Why do you do X? Why do you do Y? Most people don't even know why they do X or why they do Y.
Most people I think are living on the level of like reacting. I mean, can you blame them? Like to our point before, the most people are living paycheck to paycheck. I think it's a privilege to be able to like think.
Yeah, no, it's a huge privilege. Because in order to think like this, you either need to detach yourself from immediate emotions or you need to kind of observe your immediate emotions from somewhat of an objective lens, which is like a little bit crazy if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because like if you are suffering a lot, and this goes to paycheck by paycheck, you can't afford to do that. Like, why do I need to focus about the freaking like the cart or like whoever when I could, or I just need to make a buck.
Yeah, like I still have to go to work tomorrow, like type mentality. Yeah, I mean, I was talking about this in the last episode. Like, most people see philosophy as a very dry subject, but I think for the most part, the ideas in philosophy come from introspection. We talked about this in the last episode, so I don't want to go too much into it, but I'm curious, what do you think about that?
About
like the idea that most philosophical ideas derive from introspection and thinking about yourself.
Yeah, I think most philosophical concepts either come from genuine inquiry about the things around us or frustration, honestly.
Yeah, like grief.
Nietzsche, man, was super depressed.
Yeah,
like he was mega depressed.
No play.
No, he I read about like the story with him and like his philosopher friends who were like going to like a little village and then like he got like I probably got like cucked or something. I don't know. It was really bad. Okay. But like yeah, regardless, I think like earlier times, like back in ye olden days, philosophy was a lot like, oh, what a wonderful world we live in. Why is this the case? Why is this the case? Hence,
and then philosophy. 19th century,
and then 19th century, and then you get Great Depression, war, whatever.
Kafka, Nietzsche.
Yeah.
Camus.
Hmm.
Because like if life is meaningless, like how do you cope
This
with
is
that?
mainly as a result, I think, or a big part of this was the decline of the popularity of religion. Because without religion, how do you answer those questions?
Yeah.
And I think this was a response to that. And of course, like if you take a philosophy class, like maybe you learn this on the first day or whatever, but like I think that like philosophy is ultimately a way to, or at least in the modern sense, within like the Nietzschean sense or whatever, it's a good way to cope with the frustrations that you have, to make sense of the frustrations that you derive from the world, and that will, one, help you become more at peace, but number two, it will help you make decisions that you don't regret later.
Yeah.
Because if your decisions are consistent with your philosophy, then you're like, okay, well, I guess it made sense to make that decision at that time, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And like to a comment I made earlier, like Nietzsche got no play.
Yeah.
Maybe if he thought about it a little bit more, maybe he would have realized like, why am I, deriving so much, like, why do I have so much sadness because of this? And part of it is that, like, the obviously the gender roles at the time, and the sort of expectations that were laid on him.
Yeah.
Like the last episode, there is some overlap here. We were talking about like feminism and how like in men's mental health.
Yeah.
Something I do want to talk about is the I think a mark of intelligence, in my opinion, is the ability to introspect.
Yeah.
Like the ability to think about yourself, and like you said, think about your why you do the things you do, and then make better decisions in the future.
Yeah.
Now, why is it that we see? Oh, so we see two things. One, in like a lot of like math people, like our CS people,
Yeah.
very intelligent, high processing speed people.
They
They don't do that. Like they
Yeah,
have
no,
zero self. I'm sure you know better than me.
I know. I think they can be categorized into two categories. At first, like I agree with your, so intelligence is very weird. Like
Yeah.
intelligence is like how you define intelligence, right? I think that what you were describing, like if I were to be a little bit more specific, it's like more so agency in your life.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big part of intelligence, because like people who are intelligent tend to have agency in their life. The CEOs or whatnot.
Do you think that's because people who are intelligent tend to strive for power? Or do you think that's
Or
because
that's
like
'cause-
they have self-control? or
Yeah, self-control, or at least like the decisions that they make are self-consistent, you know? They have a goal, the decisions that they make are towards that goal. But like back to like my main point about like the CS people being like seemingly contradictory or whatever.
or like like the sort of lacking self-awareness.
So
and
there-
showers.
there's a group of people. So the showers are a different issue, and that needs to be addressed by the CS community at large. But when it comes to like quant,
I think I might want to be a quant.
yeah, a lot of people in quant are incredibly philosophical,
Why is that?
because they have an end goal. They're like they have this quote unquote agency or whatever. So they have this end goal that they're striving for that's consistent with their philosophy. And going to quant is also consistent with their philosophy. So for instance, if your philosophy is to be like, I want to be happy. How can I be happy? I cannot be happy with like being forced to do stuff that someone tells me to do, right? If I am never going to be happy in this situation, in this like job, corporate climate or whatever, then, and yeah, I still want to like live a happy life, then I need to get out of that as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Hence quant. Make
Yeah.
a ton of money and then retire.
But quants, don't they also have like a lot of like similar corporate? Like you're sitting behind a desk
Yeah.
all day. But what is the difference now?
The difference between
Like say like working as like a software engineer
Yeah.
at like
the difference
at
between
like Fang versus like working Jade
Yeah.
Street like as a quant.
So the difference between quant and typical SWE, software engineer, is that quant people are mostly there for the money only, and they want to retire as soon as possible. There are definitely people in software engineering who are also like that, but a lot of people who go into software engineering genuinely love the field. It is much more pure, like CS. Like if you get far enough, you're going to start getting more statistics, more math in the AI fields. When it comes to low-level systems engineering, you're going to get more physics, some quantum stuff if you want to get to quantum computing. But those people are genuinely interested in what they want to do. And that's consistent because their philosophy is just that, hey, I want to do what I'm interested in, and this is what I'm interested in.
But do you think that like quants, like what is it about the job other than like that makes it so that like because there are other high paying CS fields,
Yes.
but like what is it that about being a quant specifically that attracts people who don't want to be told what to do. Because I think of the quants as like you're very like
Because
under like
yeah,
micromanaged.
you're micromanaged, but you're micromanaged for a period of time after which you can retire. Jane Street intern makes more than higher ups in I forgot what's his name, Jerome Powell. I don't know, but like some of like the very higher ups in government.
Mm-hmm.
Jane Street interns make like twice.
Yeah.
They are set. They don't even need to get a job. They should just be an intern for.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be a Jane Street.
Yeah, no.
I'm definitely applying for the after, you know.
Yeah, but like, so their main goal isn't necessarily for like each given moment in time to have a life where they are not under corporate control, because that's impossible. That conflicts with their belief of wanting to live like a life of relative luxury, right?
Yeah.
So in order to have a life of relative luxury, you need to make a bit of sacrifice, and that sacrifice is like the short period of time in which you will be under extreme corporate control, but after that you're free.
Yeah, they'd rather just get it out of the way.
Get it out of the way. This is basically like extra school, you know?
Yeah. But do you think, like, is it true that there is, like, extreme corporate control in the quant field?
You're asking the wrong person. When I went into CS, when I went to college, when I considered statistics, and when I briefly considered math, I swore to never go into quant.
Why?
Because my philosophy, my ideology is the exact opposite of that. I do not want to retire.
Oh, you want to work forever?
I want to. Okay, that's not realistic. I know that's not realistic.
But like, you want to like have something to keep you occupied.
I don't want to be in the state where I'm wishing for retirement, where I'm like begging, why can't this be over yet? You know, and that's because if I do retire, I don't know what I'll do after. You know. And there are many people who are like, oh, you know, I'm gonna write a book, or like I'm gonna become like a Minecraft YouTuber or something. I don't know. But like, yeah, I don't know what I'd want to do after. And I feel like having that space causes a lot of dread. And in addition to that, like, I feel like a lot of the pleasure, a lot of the happiness that I gain is from doing stuff, you know? The times when my mental health has been the worst was after senior year of high school, and sometimes between semesters in college, because you know when you have so little to do,
it's boring. Yeah,
it's not only boring, but you start. For me, at least, I start getting paranoid. I'm like, should I be doing something? Like, am I wasting?
Well, it's all, like when I say boring, like for me, I associate boredom a lot with like depression.
Yeah,
like because I feel that when you have nothing to do, when you're not like speaking with people, you become very depressed and you ruminate. You know, the default mode network, as we learned. Like, and for reference for the people listening, we're in a neurobiology class. So the default mode network, the part of the brain that handles like your sense of self, also deals with boredom. Like, is active when you're bored and when you're ruminating. And so having that boredom sort of like is correlated with rumination and which is that they're correlated with depression.
And there's actually like I feel like there is a very simple solution to this, and that's like when you have nothing to just hang out with your friends.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people do.
Yeah,
but also part of the issue, I think, and back to apathy.
Sure.
Gen Z, a lot of the times, and this is true with all generations, but and less so with Gen Z, but a lot of people I find are very like they sort of like low social risk. And what I mean is they will not and that's okay, but that's not all. It's that they're very like, you know, any bit of social ambiguity or any bit of like, you know, people being different than them, people being like weird.
Yeah.
Like I'm very much talking about people who are like very like normal.
Yes.
And so they have like this really, and my hypothesis is those people who are very like normal, very like straight, don't like people who are weird, some of them, because to them that represents like, you know, for them it's a very easy social strategy to be like normal, right? It's a very, you know, but it could create a lot of anxiety for one, because they might be wondering, like, oh, am I doing this right? Like, you know, how do I know if I'm fitting in? How do I know if I'm like, you know, what do they think about me? Versus it's such a liberating feeling to just not care.
Yeah. I have never really cared. So
yeah, me neither.
I'm lucky enough. Okay, so just so you know, I used to live in New York. I went to a boys only school in New York. Afterwards, I went to this school in New Jersey where there was nothing like that. It was crazy. I was like number one nerdy nerd in that school. And I was like speaking with the jocks. Like I don't know why. They're just built like that. Okay, I have no idea why. But in the original instance, even when I was in the boys only school, everyone was like super athletic or whatever. I didn't really care about what people thought about me. But you're right, that does get isolating to a certain extent because that fundamentally decreases the amount of people who are willing to be your friends. Mm-hmm. But I think that the people who are willing to be your friends will become closer friends. Like, was a friend of all is a friend of none. You know?
Yeah.
So the friends I do have are very close friends. And I think that's a good thing. But
I noticed when I talk to people who you can tell you're an authentic guy. You're a very and I don't mean to say I mean this in the nicest way possible. You're not a normal guy.
Yeah.
No, in a good way. You're not. You don't try to fit in. And I think that people you could tell that they have this very great and and it's okay. If they're doing that, that's their choice. It's their life. And I noticed that, but I do notice that these people have there's this stigma against trying too hard.
Yes.
And so paradoxically, not wanting to try too hard, that makes you, that is trying hard. You know what I mean? Versus just being yourself is very easy.
Yeah, I think although it's hard.
I take that back.
It's hard to detect when someone's trying to not try.
Yeah.
And I think that trying to or seeming like you don't try too hard. I mean, I feel like that's very natural. Why people want to be like that? It's cool.
Yeah.
And even this is especially the case in a lot of high academic college students.
Yeah, the wry, sort of dry academic humor and
also I scored 100% on this exam. I didn't even study. I don't care about this class.
Yeah, it's who? Okay, then why are you taking it?
Yeah, that's big. I think that ultimately, or at least in the academic sphere, that comes from a lot of fear and anxieties within our generation. A lot of people in our generation are too scared to either fail or look like we're failing. So if you care so much about this class and you get a 2% on an exam, one, how's that going to look to yourself, and how's everyone else going to think of you?
Yeah.
Right? And this one thing that matters so much about you didn't do well on it. That's a huge reputation tank.
Yeah, and that's why I think the best strategy, in my opinion, for applying to college is applying sideways. Don't do anything for college. Do things for yourself. Learn because learning is important. Be kind because you'll that's also important.
Yes.
And do the things you're passionate about because again, that's important. And if you get into college, it'll be because you did those things because those came out in your essays, in your letters of rec, in your grades. And if you don't get it, then you're still happy because you spent the 4 years doing the things you want to do.
Yeah, I think I've spoken with many people who are high school applying to college. Of course, I was in that horrible period of time as well. I think that is something that I wish I knew. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'd say it. I never really meant it. I think that's something a lot of people say they never really mean.
Really?
Because you can say what are you going to say otherwise? I want to get to this college because I think getting to this college will mean that my life will be better.
Yeah.
That's something that people say. I didn't want to say because I felt that was a bit off.
Oh, I mean, at least you're honest. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very much not true. The difference between colleges, unless if you go to so the difference between for instance the Ivy Leagues, incredibly small.
Yeah.
My linear algebra teacher, he gave us the same textbook as University of Colorado.
Yeah.
Same curriculum.
Well, yeah, I mean personally my linear algebra professor is the absolute
Did you have
goat.
Did you have nil?
I know, I had Robert Winters.
Oh, yeah, I don't know who that
Robert something like that. Robert W.
Yeah. But yeah, so what you learn is basically it might be a little bit faster, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, I just thought he was the GOAT. He's such a great teacher.
Yeah,
I came into every lecture and it's holy shit, this is a movie.
Yeah. Some professors can do a very good job. Other professors do horrible jobs.
Oh, really?
And in fact, when it comes to a lot of higher institutions, I have a friend at MIT. He said that MIT has the worst computer science department because the professors only care about research. They don't know how to teach. And that's the case for a lot of classes in a lot of like research schools, research intensive schools. What a lot of people cite as why you want to go to college X is because the connections or whatnot. But if you're, in my opinion, of course, like it's safe, you know, like if you have a higher likelihood of getting good connections, then sure, why not go there? But if you are basing your entire philosophy on that, I will necessarily make a good connection in this one school and therefore I will go there.
Yeah, something I've noticed about like even being in the Harvard secondary school program, like it is what you put into it. Like it is what you make of it.
Sorry, I just want to cut you off there. I will admit, from my experience taking Harvard secondary school classes and actual Harvard classes, there is a quality difference. I left a decent review, okay. But when it comes to like classes, it's so hard to cram it all into like a short period of time.
Yeah.
Like it's a little bit difficult, but two, also you don't get to go over enough stuff. You know, like I think it is one of the main things that I had to struggle with coming into biology and I think you did as well, as someone who's originally from more of like the hard STEM, being like math, statistics, physics, computer science, is that you take a lot of things for granted, and in order to not take things for, if you don't want to take everything for, if you want to question everything to its fundamental core, you're gonna die of exhaustion.
Yeah, like with math, like you could, like eventually, like you could just trace everything to the axioms, and there's a clear route to do so. But yeah, I agree.
For biology, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, man?
I am curious though, like just generally, like being at the secondary school program. You know, do you think no matter what, do you think you're getting a world-class education just by being at Harvard, or do you think that it is
Harvard or secondary?
Harvard. Do you think it is what you put into it? I guess
it depends on the department. I will say there are two professors, Joe Blitzstein. All right, Joe Blitzstein. I don't know, you haven't heard of him. Peak professor. Honestly, one of the best professors there. Like, I didn't know anything about statistics. I took AP Stat, which is basically nothing. It's basically like AP word comprehension class. Mm-hmm. He taught intro to probability, which is basically intro to probability, stats, combinatorics, all that type of stuff, you know? And he taught us so well that you did not want to read the textbook. You want to go to lecture. Mm-hmm. He made everything seem everything was so intuitive to him. So he expressed that intuition to us. Yeah,
it's like, I think a good professor should make everything feel like it's obvious.
Exactly. Also, he knew the curriculum front to back is quote unquote his baby class. So the class was his baby. So he loved it so much. But also it matters in the results as well. For like the latter textbook questions and for some of the final questions, he would literally just give us Putnam questions. And it wouldn't seem out of the ordinary to be able to do them with the stuff that he has taught us. So there are these aspects of a good teacher.
Putnam is crazy.
Putnam is crazy, I know. I mean, like, it wasn't like Putnam like now, Putnam like a couple years ago.
Oh, like 1990 or
it was still like relatively difficult.
For reference, if you're watching this, Putnam is an undergrad. You could just look up the problems to see the level of difficulty. It's an undergraduate like math competition.
Yeah, but like for some of the combinatorics questions, it should be Putnam. He like cite Putnam like 19 so and so. But when it comes to good teachers, and there are so many other teachers at Harvard that are like that, they genuinely, not only they love the topic, because every teacher has to love the topic, they love the class. And I think that's ultimately what differentiates like a good professor from a bad professor. Do they actually like invest their time in the class? Do they care about the class? Because if they do, then, I think it's fairly self-evident.
Yeah. Yeah. And then do you think I mean just beyond the education itself, the connections you make, do you think you're going to make connections generally at Harvard?
Okay. So connections, they're like, okay, so when it comes to connections, like recruiting or whatever, or like meeting someone who knows someone who's like the CEO of like Dairy Queen, I don't know, but like, I haven't met that person yet. Oh, I don't want to dox anyone, but I know someone who is related to the CEO of Uber, but connection wise, I haven't met really anyone who's like very connected. Harvard is very good at connecting you with like people in the medical field though. So there's like this database that lists all of the emails of like doctors who are in like Mass General. And like it's confidential, so like you're not able to go into it unless if you like have like a Harvard email or whatever, and it includes like information, so it's easy to reach out to them.
I just remember I have a Harvard email.
I don't know if your email counts though.
No, oh, it's under harvard.edu.
It's Harvard. Is that?
Yeah.
Oh, so then maybe you will.
Or it's
Yeah.
g.harvard.edu or something.
Is that graduate or?
Let me check. Or I'll check after,
Oh, yeah,
actually.
yeah.
But
So you might not.
Yeah, I know I have access to like all the Harvard like key stuff.
Okay.
Harvard key stuff.
So maybe.
I wonder if that'll be active after I finish this program.
Or they definitely deactivate, because they deactivate normal Harvard emails after a certain amount of time. So, but yeah, like you can. So like if you want to reach out to someone, it's typically pretty hard to reach out to a doctor because they don't publish their emails. But if you're at Harvard, and this is the case for like most schools, honestly. If you're at a school that's related to a hospital, you can probably like. So I don't know if that's Harvard.
But do you think like okay, like just beyond that, like a lot of your classmates, do you think they'll like? Do you have anyone? I mean, you don't have to say the name, but do you have anyone who you think is going to be like crazy, like or like in the future, or that you know?
Yes.
Can you elaborate at all without doxing them? Obviously.
Yeah. Okay. So I know two friends that dropped out.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, I don't know if he became a millionaire. He definitely got multi-million. Either like. I don't know if it's a multi-million deal or so. It was a pretty big deal. He's a CS kid, very into startups, and yeah, if anyone, I think he would make it big because he just has this aura to him. It's very mysterious. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's very mysterious, and he's very clear on what he wants. And he is very clear on the people he surrounds himself with. So that's one guy. I feel like he's gonna make it big because like he has already made it somewhat big. He's dropped out. He has a job.
Yeah.
He's like company or whatever. Another guy also dropped out. He also has a job. He's also I think he was CS philosophy as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's incredibly nice guy, super nice guy. And he's also a big startup person. So I feel like Harvard has a pretty big startup scene.
Here's moral of the story: if you want to make it big, drop out of Harvard.
I mean, that's what Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates did, right?
Yeah, well, I guess it's like people like think that like that in itself, like if you're dropping out of Harvard, like you probably are like smart. But I think part of it is like it's not like a 1-to-1. It's that like if you're smart, like if you're like really like crazy, then Harvard's just a stepping stone for you.
Yeah, the people who are truly like that are the people who. I feel like a lot of people don't think of Harvard as a resource.
Yeah.
A lot of people think of Harvard as like an almighty being that you must kneel before and whatnot.
I guess that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Like how do you make the most of that resource?
Yeah. So when it comes to, it depends on the field that you're in, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pre-med, so I kind of have to think of Harvard as the almighty being who will either make or break my GPA.
Yeah.
And when it comes to law school, yeah, GPA is huge for that type of stuff. But if you don't need to worry about GPA that much, like if you're
just going to go straight into like
if you're going straight into like
the workforce,
like industry, then connections is huge. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like both the people who I was talking about, they made huge connections. They met a lot of people. Harvard is incredibly close to MIT.
Mm-hmm.
Incredibly close. The people at Harvard is known for having horrible parties. They go to MIT for parties.
Oh, really? MIT has good parties?
MIT is a party school.
Oh, wow.
Work hard, play hard. Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Most very intensive tech schools are either extremely party heavy or extremely depression heavy, or both.
You should hang up.
or both. And
Yeah.
But yeah. So like, yeah. So Harvard and MIT are incredibly well connected. So like, if give me people from like who are, I don't know, going to be the next president, people who are going to be like the next like Friedrich Nietzsche, people who are going to be the next like
Friedrich Nietzsche?
or like philosophy.
I did forgot his first name's Frederick.
Frederick.
I always call him like Nietzsche. Like I don't even know what his first name is.
Oh yeah, or Friedrich. I don't know how to pronounce it, but like
Nietzsche.
Yeah, or like people who will be like the next I don't know, freaking Tony Stark.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, like
so there's so many people, and you just need to speak to them and make good relationships with them. I'm not very good at doing that. I'm being completely fair with you. Like when it comes to making connections, like it's either quality or quantity. You can try to aim for both. You can't maximize both of them.
Yeah.
You know? And I tend to go for maximizing quality over quantity.
Well, good for you. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not
teach their own.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not saying that one is better than the other. But yeah, that's just how I am. But if you want to like do massive quantity, like meet a lot of people and find the people who like might be most aligned with what you want to do.
I mean, you couldn't be like, for me, like a lot of people, I think at the secondary school, with the high school program, seem to know me because I do a lot of dumb stuff. Like, for example,
Really?
I give a lot of speeches.
I saw that on your Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like they know me. I don't know if it's negative. I don't know if it's positive. I think that from my understanding, the consensus is interesting.
It's better to be known than to be forgotten. I mean, like, unless if you're known for like horrible things.
Not horrible, but I think some people think I'm just like weird. Some people think I'm interesting. But I've been told that I am the most known person at the secondary program by two people separately.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, like, I don't know how like impressive that is, but that sounds impressive.
I mean, I don't think it's a good thing necessarily, but I guess my point is I have like these people who know me, but I don't know them, and people who I know, I like think are really cool people. And I also have like my really close friends.
Yeah.
And I think that like you can have the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
If you're really weird. But then at the same time, you sacrifice a little bit of comfort.
Yeah, I think you can have the best of both worlds, but when you have a lot of people, so I think like you have to have best of both worlds to a certain extent, because like if you're friends with like 1 billion people and you're not,
you can't be close with all of them.
Yeah. You need to do a bit of sacrifice. So what I meant was that like
in a different,
you had to like the time you spent with your very close friends could have been time connecting with other people. You didn't spend that time. You decided to spend it with your close friends. So like to that end, you're not min-maxing either, in my opinion. I feel like you're just, you're doing what normal people do.
Yeah.
like you're connecting with people, but you also have your close friends, which I think that's perfectly fine,
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, I think that this has been an excellent conversation.
Yes, thanks.
I really appreciate you being on this podcast.